Right then, we're back in the room. Welcome to the podcast. It has returned for the new season. Season 3 for us? I don't know what you would call this. Maybe. Season 3 of the ITV. I'm going to call it Season 3, the ITV Royal Rota. The nights are drawing in. The summer is over. We've all had our holidays, or some of us have. Some actually couldn't get away. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. I hope you also had a very good summer. How was yours?
It was lovely.
Yes?
It was lovely. Yeah, we've not done this for 4 weeks.
No.
Can you believe it? It's gone really quickly.
It's been a joy to have a break from this small box.
To have a break from me.
And from you. No,
Charming.
Of course not. Now, you went to Greece.
I went to Greece.
Santorini.
Santorini, it was lovely.
Looked beautiful. There is a smashing picture on your Instagram.
There is, yes. Lizzie Robinson ITV.
Yep.
Just plug that there to get some more followers.
I went to Croatia, which was also beautiful. I can thoroughly recommend it. I also have a single picture of my holiday on the Instagram, or my vacation, depending on where you're living in the world, what you call it. And the Royals are kind of still on holiday, actually. We haven't seen much of them. In fact, we haven't seen anything of them, really, have we, since...
Yeah, as is traditional, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh have gone up to Balmoral to spend their summer holiday, and they're joined by various members of the royal family during their time up there. And so, as normal, they tend to go quiet over the August period. But there are one pair that have kept making a bit of noise.
Yes, they've moved house, they've been out and about, they've done a mega deal with a big TV company.
A mega bucks deal.
And we're not talking about William and Kate.
No.
Right, do the royal rundown then. We've also got a special guest on today's show. I'll explain who it is and why we're talking to this particular person in just a moment. But let's get the Robinsons' royal rundown of everything that's happened in the past 4 weeks.
Oh, wow, the past 4 weeks.
Well, you start off with 3 weeks of nothing, pretty much.
Well, there was Finding Freedom, of course.
Which
came out when we were off on holiday.
Yes,
but
the
other
Finding
than
Freedom
that,
book, much discussed, much covered, much... publicised. We'll touch on it. I don't think we'll do a whole episode on it, nor will you thank us for doing, but the big book, the big royal book of the summer. Anyway, so start with that. Finding Freedom came out, written by Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand.
It did.
And then?
And then, other news for Harry and Meghan. We had news yesterday, which was Wednesday, of their big new Netflix deal. So they are going to produce with an unnamed production company various documentaries, docu-series, children's programming for Netflix on a multi-year deal for an undisclosed...
but we won't at this point, but carry on.
An undisclosed sum, but we can imagine it's quite a lot of money. They marked the anniversary of the death of Princess Diana by planting forget-me-nots, which were Princess Diana's favourite flower, with impoverished children in Los Angeles. They have moved home. They were staying at Tyler Perry's mansion in LA. They have a
mansion of their own.
They have a mansion of their own, an £11 million mansion in Montecito in Santa Barbara, which we can go through exactly what that comes with, which is a lot of rooms.
A lot of cleaning of bathrooms, I'd say, yeah?
16 bathrooms.
16.
16 bathrooms, to be precise.
I'd employ a cleaner or two for that, I think.
Prince Harry did a video call at the weekend to mark the Rugby League's 125th birthday, and that was interesting.
Which actually was an event he did just before he left back in the winter, wasn't it, at Buckingham Palace?
In January, yes. And but that was interesting because he was talking about his new life out in Los Angeles and how he would have come back to the UK had it have not been for COVID. And in news away from Harry and Meghan,
in other royal households,
royal households, it was announced that the statue that was being commissioned by William and Harry to commemorate their mother, a date has been announced for that to go up in the sunken garden at Kensington Palace on her 60th birthday, what would have been her 60th birthday next year, so the 1st of July. And Kate's Hold Still project, the final 100 images have been selected for that out of I think they had a remarkable over 31,000 submissions.
Now, I wonder where we should start, actually. There's all that Harry and Meghan news. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start somewhere where I think you always want to know where I'm going to start, don't you? What we're going to discuss at the beginning. I'm going to pause on Harry and Meghan momentarily.
Okay. All right.
Because I think a lot of the commentary around the Diana statue was, will it bring Harry and William back together, because this was effectively a joint announcement from the two brothers to say that the statue that... Now, I remember them announcing this statue, wasn't it, at around the 20th anniversary of her death, which was in 2017?
So in January 2017, they announced that a statue had been commissioned. Yes. And later that year, we had some details about who the sculptor was, which is Ian Rank Broadley. And then the project has slightly gone cold for a while, and there's been reports
just quiet. I mean, I imagine I've never made a statue myself from wood or metal or anything, so I imagine it takes a while to do.
One would think, but there have been reports of tensions and sort of struggling on deciding how this statue should look, and of course they want to get it right. It's a statue to commemorate.
And it's going to be up for a very long time.
Of course, yeah. So, but it might, you would think that for something this important to both Harry and William, that for that unveiling next year on the 1st of July to mark her 60th birthday, that we would see them come together to do that. And after all we know about the sort of falling out and the tensions between them, to see them together, it might be the first time for a...
It might be. We don't know for sure, but it is possible that it will happen. Let's just have a look at the pictures of where it's going to be. This, if you're watching on YouTube, of course. If you're not, you have to imagine it, as ever. The Sunken Gardeners at Kensington Palace. And actually, I think the pictures we're going to show you here is of Harry and Meghan's engagement announcement, because they chose that very place because it was so special, both to Harry and to William as well, because it was one of their mother's favourite places. And do you remember, actually, I think at the time of Diana's the anniversary of her death, they put all white flowers in there, didn't they? Because some of them were associated with William and Harry's mother.
And it was a place that she used to like to go, and she often used to stop and talk to the gardeners. So it seems appropriate that it is in a place
and
that she
where
loved.
It's going to be, at Kensington Palace, which was obviously her former home, which is now the home of, or the official home of William and Kate. Although they haven't been there since March, they've been at their house in Norfolk. But as I said, a lot of the commentary was around whether or not this is a kind of thing that might bring the two brothers together. Now, as far as we understand, that they have never really been much further apart than they are now. That would be fair to say, wouldn't it?
Distance and their relationship.
Not just geographically, but in terms of their relationship as well, of course. And whether time will heal over the coming months, we don't know. But this is something that perhaps they might be able to put all that to one side. Perhaps, we don't know. This is a long way off. Royal diaries, we don't know what the Royals are doing next week, let alone next July.
True,
but it's possible, and some of the commentary around this announcement last week was whether or not that rift might be assisted if the brothers came together.
Yeah, and I think, it is an important day. It will be an important day for them to pay tribute to their mother, such an important person in both their lives, that you'd think that they would be able to put aside any tensions between them.
Do you remember when we were in Kensington Palace in 2017, in August or July, I forget when, and William came into the room to talk to us about that ITV documentary about his mother, and he kind of said then, this is the one and only time we are going to speak about her in this way, and we feel like this is a moment to sort of close the book. The only trouble with that is that there is now another marker. It's Diana's, what would have been her 60th birthday, and there's a statue. And in a way, these things go on, don't they? And there'll be the 25th anniversary of her death. Will they speak again? Who knows? But it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose they hope that this statue will sort of, keep their mother's life and legacy alive forever, because it will be a statue. Yeah. It doesn't mean, I suppose, that they will have to maybe talk in the detail that they did for those anniversaries.
Yes. Okay. Right. So you mentioned it there. Harry is no longer living in the UK. We've documented a number of times on this podcast, and they have a new home. I mean, there's so much new about their lives, and so much that's now very American about their lives, and different to the one that they had when they were living here just at the beginning of this year, effectively. We thought we'd invite an American to talk about them and
their new home, and what they can expect from Santa Barbara and what that new home offers them.
So we thought long and hard, and actually the person we decided we would ask is a correspondent for ABC News in America who's based here in London. She's Maggie Rulli. She is the foreign correspondent for ABC News. We've been on a number of royal jobs with her, as I'm sure we will discuss. And this is the conversation that we had with Maggie about Harry and Meghan. So welcome, we're in a different part of the newsroom, and I'll tell you why we've had to bring Maggie into here, because the other place is so small, we wouldn't be 2 metres apart. You know, we've measured.
We measured.
Haven't we? Look, here we go.
Yep, all right.
I've touched that top bit, let me just wipe it. Here we are. There we go.
Safety first.
Right, so we're 2 metres, here we go, 1, 2, 2 metres 10, actually, we're good.
We're just extra safe.
And that is why we're here, because we couldn't do it from the other place.
We're also just going to have to yell at each other, because we are so far apart.
I kind of feel like I do need to shout, but we have these things called microphones.
Oh, okay,
If you work in TV?
Yeah, I can remember not to yell.
Yeah, and microphones mean that you can hear what we're saying without us having to shout. So welcome to Maggie. Maggie's from ABC News, as we've just said. The reason you're here is because there's so much to talk about that's kind of stateside, and we wanted your guidance, your knowledge. You're an American native.
I can be your American expert. Yeah. I'm American.
Explain something about yourself, because you're in the UK for ABC News, so you report for America from London and pretty much the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly. So ABC is based in America, but we have people overseas that cover the rest of the world. I'm based in London, so really the whole world, but also a lot of Royals coverage out of London as well.
And here is you outside Buckingham Palace, which was on your Instagram feed quite recently. Now listen, I must ask you this, that a lot of people have made the accusation that Meghan wasn't welcomed in the UK. Now look, you can't represent the whole of America, but you came over to... When did you come over to the UK?
I can represent America.
Okay.
No, I came over almost exactly a year ago.
Right, okay, so you've been here a year. What kind of reaction have you had?
I've actually been blown away by how nice everyone's been here. No,
right.
I don't want to.
And you sound surprised.
I was going to say, I don't want to make that seem like I was expecting anything less. But I think sometimes people may assume that British people are very polished and proper.
Stiff upper lip.
No, I wasn't going to say it.
Well, I did it, and I'm British, so I can say it.
Well, Meghan said it in her interview famously, didn't she, last year? So
Meghan said it first, I can say it too. And, you know, you definitely have a very polished way of carrying yourself, I think, over here, but I love it. You know, I think everyone has been so warm to me. I've been amazed when people hear my American accent. They want to know about where I'm from and what city I lived in America, and I'm blown away by how much British people know about American politics and American culture. I mean, I think sometimes people living in London know more about American politics and what's happening stateside than even some Americans do. And so it's great to know that you have this interest, and also everyone's been so nice. I mean, you guys were so nice. You helped me when I moved here. I was this, newbie American that didn't know what a loo was or how to order takeaway. And now I've learned all of that.
Takeaway loo. What else have you struggled with? The pavements.
The pavements is confusing. Dustbin.
Getting in the lift to go up to the next floor.
Lift I understand at least. Lift I can get behind.
Yeah.
What are some other good ones? Bin is always confusing for me still.
Bin.
Every day I learn that I say a word.
Right,
that's
but you've got a couple of British colleagues, haven't you? James and Ian, who will help you out.
They've helped me a lot. James actually was giving me lessons for a while. But then
you did all that great stuff where he was like, how to speak English.
How to speak English.
English.
Was not speaking it properly, apparently.
So no complaints is what you're saying?
Yeah,
You've had no complaints. And you're still enjoying it? You're not rushing to leave or anything?
No, I think my mom back in Boston probably wishes that I was rushing to come home. But I always tell her I love it here, and she thinks she's lost me now to the UK, which might
you should
be
get
true.
Mrs. Rulli over here.
Yes, exactly. Mom, you heard it. You're getting an invite from ITV News. She'll love it.
We've got the
And it's funny what you say about British people know a lot about American politics. Do you think Americans know a lot about the British royals?
Yes, certain British royals.
Yes.
I think they know a lot about the young British royals.
Do they know the Countess of Wessex, for example? Or
maybe not quite so much.
Or the
maybe
Duchess
now,
of Gloucester?
Yeah, the Countess of Wessex have been all over the news recently,
of course,
so maybe they kind of know more now. But I think we know the Queen, obviously, and of course the younger royals, especially Harry, Meghan, William, and Kate. I'm always amazed, actually, how passionate my friends are about the younger royals, and that's the first thing they want to ask me about. They always want to get updates about anything I'm covering when it comes to the royals. And I always hate to break to them because they're like, so did you talk to them recently? Like, what are they telling you? I'm like, well, I mean, as much as I am.
Did they have you for dinner?
I don't know if they haven't really talked to me recently.
I was at the back of the line and...
Yeah, exactly.
I was behind a rope
really far away.
I had to wait. Yeah.
But no doubt the Harry and Meghan story, as it's played out since January when they announced they wanted to leave, that's been a pretty big deal in the US.
It's been a huge deal. Yeah, and I think not only because it's historic what's happening, and especially historic, I think, for people living in England because it's your royal family, but for the U.S. to all of a sudden have Harry and Meghan come stateside like this, to be living in America. I mean, it's even just been incredible to watch how our news organization is handling it. We struggle sometimes to figure out who's supposed to be covering Harry and Meghan now because, you know, normally...
Yeah, is it you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
or is it someone in LA?
We're supposed to be covering the royals in London, but then all of a sudden now you have Harry and Meghan. Like, are they royals anymore? And they're living in LA? Are they entertainment?
Celebrities? Are they entertainment? Are they? Yeah.
Well,
so
actually,
we really struggled with that.
Lizzie, wasn't Meghan talking very recently about how pleased she was to be, quotes, back home when she did that interview?
Yeah,
she
said, and you know, Harry has also spoken recently about how fantastic it is to be out there. So they seem quite settled and happy to, you know, for Meghan to be back home in Los Angeles, but for Harry to be there with her. He seems to be settling, and it's, you know, very new for him. He's gone to her home.
In fact, have a very quick listen to what Meghan said to Gloria Steinem when she did that interview last week, was it? Or the week before? Anyway, have a listen.
Meg, welcome home. I'm
Thank you.
so glad that you're home.
Me too, for so many reasons.
So she's pleased to be back home. You're pleased to be here. And what have you made of the whole departure of Harry and Meghan and their relocation to Santa Barbara?
Santa Barbara is an interesting choice.
We want to know what it's like in Santa
Barbara.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, have you ever been to Southern California?
Love to go, never been.
I've never been further west. I've done Los Angeles.
Okay.
Right. I've never been further west than Colorado, so you need to get me over the Rockies.
Oh, we got to get you to California. I was going to say, I can almost understand why she says it's good to be home, as much as I'm sure a lot of people were wishing that she found London to be home. There's something about California, it gets in your blood. I mean, it stays your home. My husband's from California, and he still calls it home. He hasn't lived there since he was 18. Wow. And he still just says, back when he's driving on 405, as they say. You know, it feels like home there. So I kind of can understand a little bit where she's coming from. Santa Barbara in particular, where they're living in Montecito in particular, it's a magical place. I mean, if I could ever live there, it would be life goals to live in a place.
I'm sure on your ABC salary you could buy a house. What was the price of the house actually? Was it $12 million? The house
it was £11 million.
Oh, but I think it was like almost $15 million then. £11 million pounds.
£11 million pounds.
So you could buy one tomorrow.
Yeah, no big deal, guys. You guys can come visit. I'll get you a little guest house. But
well, nobody will have enough bathrooms for us, or bathrooms, as you say.
We love our bathrooms.
Yeah. How many have Harry and Meghan got?
They have got 16 bathrooms to their 9 bedrooms.
Wait, 16?
This is something I can't understand. So I've just been watching Selling Sunset, and all the houses there have like double the number of bathrooms to bedrooms. What, like, why?
Well, we just like our options, you know?
Clearly.
If one is occupied and busy,
you need another 15 to choose from.
But I mean, there's 3 of them in this house. They have 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, a library, office, spa, gym, games room, wine cellar, tennis court, pool, and a guest house.
Oh, that's good for us.
You know.
Okay, yes.
What for
tennis, to play tennis? We could use the tennis court, we could go for a dip in the pool.
We'll be fine.
They've obviously got to pay for it. I mean, you say it's a magical place.
It is.
You know, it looks stunning. They've got to pay for it, and we now know kind of, partly how they're going to do it. Netflix have come along, opened up the Netflix wallet and said to Harry and Meghan,
nice payday.
Do you want some of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably a major part of it. They have this huge house that they need to pay for now, and supposedly it's not coming from the royals
Prince Charles,
anymore.
Prince Charles's money probably ran out a little while ago.
He's not going to pay for those 16 bathrooms?
Well, you know.
Come on, Dad.
He's got a few bathrooms himself, to be fair. Let's not be unkind to Harry and Meghan. Prince Charles has a bathroom or 2 himself.
He does, but it's not just this mansion that they have to pay for, that they have a whopping great mortgage on, a reported $7.5 million. They've also said that they'll repay the money for the renovation on Frogmore, which was $2.4 million.
Yeah.
They have to pay rent on that, plus the running costs. They've got their security bills. So, you know, although...
Kind of Netflix has come at the right time.
Netflix has come at the right time, and, you know, it sounds like they're going to make a lot of money, but they're going to need a lot of money to pay for all these things. But, you know, they've also signed for the Harry Walker agency, the big speaking agency in New York. But, Netflix should help with some of the bills.
So, Netflix deal, not about Meghan becoming an actress or an actor again. It's all about them becoming TV producers, kind of like the Obamas have done.
Yeah, a lot of people reference that as well because the Obamas also have, a plan to produce documentaries.
Yes, Michelle Obama's got Becoming on Netflix, and so they're following an Obama route in many respects, aren't they?
Yeah.
In terms of their philanthropy and their new, what do you call it? You say not-for-profit, we might say charity organisation, but it's all it's all kind of getting there, isn't it now?
And I'll be curious as well to see how it all plays out, because if this deal is as big as they say it is and they're really becoming producers in their own right, what crowd will this bring them into? I mean, you mentioned the Obamas, and that's obviously a politician, but an institution in America, and nonprofits, but their neighborhood also in Montecito is filled with celebrities. I mean, they are in the center, the epicenter of celebrity dream homes.
Well, filled with celebrities, and therefore filmed with the paparazzi who are trying to make money from getting pictures of the celebrities. That's the kind of irony of them running away from a royal life that Harry didn't want to be under the spotlight anymore, and yet they've gone to, what would you call it? If I was to ask you in America where are the most paparazzi photographers, you would say Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too where they chose to move, because Los Angeles clearly has the most paparazzi. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe even. I don't think it's not quite the same mindset here in London as it is in California, because it is just every A-list celebrity is walking around a grocery store in LA. So then you have paparazzi kind of on every corner also looking for these celebrities, and it's such a culture there. It's a culture of trying to get that photo, and you really just have, name any celebrity that you've ever heard of from America, and they're probably in LA at any given time walking around the street. But Harry and Meghan chose, where they're staying in Santa Barbara County, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours drive up north of LA. So they do they got away a little bit, and the area where they are, it doesn't really feel like a city. It's beautiful coastline, and I had a friend actually compare it recently to Cornwall, that same kind of rugged coastline that's full of nature, only this one has good weather.
Reliably good weather.
Probably fewer tourists.
And fewer tourists, exactly.
But isn't it known, like the area they're in, Montecito, it's known, isn't it, for to offer them privacy, lots of gated communities, long walks, lots of trees.
Yeah. So, and it's where a lot of celebrities go to kind of get away from the paparazzi hustle and bustle.
And despite that, they've also taken this lawsuit against some of those who were trying to take photographs of them. What was it, a drone over the garden? There were lenses being poked through the
when
fence.
they were staying at Tyler Perry's, they had problems with drones flying overhead trying to take pictures of Archie, people cutting holes in the netting, trying to get the lenses through. So privacy, we know, for this couple is sort of one of their priorities. Yeah. So it might be why they've chosen Montecito. And they want photographers when they want them. And actually we had some pictures of Harry and Meghan just this week doing that charity flower planting forget-me-nots in memory of Diana, because that was her favourite flower as well. So they want the publicity, of course they do, but on their terms. Yeah. That's going to be the difficult line they've got to tread going forward. And I'll be curious too how some of these sort of high-profile neighbours respond to this. If they choose to bring photographers in, or if the photographers just come there even without their permission. Like you said before, this is an area that, while it has celebrity homes, it's sort of outside the paparazzi realm of LA, and so it's normally sort of kept quieter. So if all of a sudden photographers do start showing up for Harry and Meghan, whether they're invited or not, wonder how the sort of neighborhood love might go with that. The neighborhood love. Yeah. Do you think that Harry and Meghan are going to... where do you think they're going to go with this Netflix deal? Well, in terms of what we know about it... In terms of what they said this week. We know that their production company, that's as yet unnamed, this production company will produce for Netflix scripted series, docuseries, documentaries, features, children's programming, and they want to look at programming and stories that and issues that resonate with them personally. So we can expect to see them, I guess, doing things on the environment, women's empowerment. Harry has, Invictus Games. He's just been in Rising Phoenix about the Paralympics. I guess we'll see them doing issues that are close to their heart. But I know that they've said that Meghan isn't going to take a return to acting, but will we see them in some role in some of this programming they're doing? I guess Netflix, for the kind of money that they're paying, will hope that they might do something. Well, it's probably worth having a couple of examples then. Have a watch of this. This is Meghan doing a voiceover for a Disney documentary which was on elephants, and then you'll hear
Harry, who's appeared in a Netflix documentary about the Paralympic Games. This might give you an idea of what it is they're going to do when this Netflix deal finally comes to fruition.
The Kalahari Desert in southern Africa. These elephants are setting out on a 1,000-mile round trip, one that could take up to 8 months. This is a side of elephants we rarely see.
There isn't anything else in the world that can bring you back from the darkest places than sport.
So there you go, more of those. I think Harry and Meghan will be appearing in front of camera, as we've just seen, but also very much behind camera, directing things, doing the kind of, as Lizzie was just saying, the interests that really reflect who they are as people and what work they'll be doing with the Archewell not-for-profit.
Mm-hmm. I'll be really curious to see how much is pure production and how much they kind of put their stamp on front of the camera or their voice behind the camera. I can't imagine that we wouldn't be hearing from them, directly from them on some of these
It's kind of, I
pieces.
think, what Netflix is paying for, isn't it?
Yeah.
To have a bit of the Harry and Meghan magic, not just their ideas, but actually a bit of them.
Do we know how much they're getting paid?
I mean, figures have been reported as, around could be up to the sort of 100 million
That would
mark.
help pay for
But
their...
I mean, Netflix has deep pockets, but that is not by any means the most they've paid out. I mean, Ryan Murphy, the creator of Glee, reportedly signed for $300 million for 5 years. Shonda Rhimes, creator of Grey's Anatomy, reportedly signed for $150 million. So for Harry and Meghan, yeah, they're mega stars and they're a star signing, but they, similarly have no experience as producers. So that figure doesn't seem completely out of the realms of possibility.
I've seen that somewhere between, I've seen lots of figures, and of course we're in the realms of guesswork here as well, but I've seen somewhere between $50 million and $100 million.
Yeah.
And actually we heard from a media analyst on one of our news bulletins this week. This was her analysis about how long they think Netflix will be paying Harry and Meghan. Have a listen.
It is a powerhouse. It can guarantee payments to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex for 5 years, if that's necessary. They do tend to do 5-year deals with very, very important stars.
So that sort of money coming in over 5 years is obviously very useful.
They said, shall I read their quote?
Go on then.
They
being
focus,
Netflix.
no, they being Harry and Meghan.
Okay.
Their focus will be on creating content that informs but gives hope. As new parents, they want to make inspirational family programming. And they say that they hope Netflix's unprecedented reach will help us share impactful content that unlocks action.
Impactful content that unlocks action.
I just like watching Lizzie read that, actually. Was my favorite part of the statement.
I was like, hang on a minute. Is that really
Get to the end of it. Get to the end.
Yeah. Impactful content that unlocks action. Right, okay. And actually, when Netflix has got, as we checked with them yesterday, how many subscribers do you have? I said to them, 193 million was the answer. I mean,
just a couple
then.
then.
Even everyone that actually watches. I mean, I'm still on my parents' account, so it's like probably double.
Sorry, Netflix. Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I pay for my own now. I'm an adult.
A lot of people, I'm sure, probably do that. But so, but we don't think they're going to appear in The Crown. Then that's not part of the deal.
Oh my God! I didn't even think of that. You just blew my mind.
I mean,
That's
imagine.
genius.
Yeah, well, I tell you why I asked it, because if you have a look at this trailer that Netflix put out this week for the new series of The Crown, guess who's in it? Prince Harry's mum.
Something as important as the monarchy simply cannot be allowed to fail.
So, well, I mean, this is what I think, just as you said, blew your mind. Here we have, they're still making The Crown, and they've got to the point where Diana had by all accounts, very unhappy time in the royal family. That's Harry's mother. He's now signed for Netflix to produce content for them. The whole thing.
It's quite meta, now that you put it in context.
It's pretty big, isn't it? But we don't think that Harry and Meghan will be starring in any capacity in any
But
future
now I
episodes
want
of The
it to
Crown.
happen.
But it might be in one of the, maybe Netflix
Wait a
snuck a
few
little
years.
clause in
Yeah.
that hopefully Harry and Meghan didn't see. Oh, by the way, you're going also to appear in The Crown.
as yourselves in The Crown.
I mean, they've got pretty good lawyers. I think they probably. But
I mean,
we know
listen, we wish them luck. I mean, it's a massive undertaking for them. They've got to earn the money, and I'm sure they probably will. So we wish them luck. But obviously, the royal family don't have a great track record when it comes to being TV producers.
No, because we
Did you know
saw
this?
yesterday.
Well, okay. Ooh,
I knew this existed, but I'd never actually watched any of the footage until we looked at it yesterday. So it's a royal knockout was Prince Andrew's brainchild.
Prince Edward's brainchild.
Sorry, Prince Edward's brainchild.
Yes, Prince Andrew took part in it, as did Princess Anne as well.
And
so
the Duchess of York.
we're talking here about a 1980s game show where people sort of dressed up.
Game show?
Yeah, people kind of dressed up in sort of medieval costumes, and they sort of started sort of having fights and knockabouts. You might as well have a look. It's worth having a look at these pictures.
International Project 1987.
So it's a royal knockout. What did you make of that?
It's amazing. It's spectacular. It blew my mind. And you guys are making fun of it, I think, but as an American, it's exactly what I think the royals normally look like. That's how they dress.
And should be doing more of.
Yeah, we should get more of this on TV.
Well, you want to see Prince William dressed like that now, yeah?
Yes, please.
Right.
I would tune in for this.
But I mean, as we said on News at 10 this week, no one's ever quite sure how this got the green light from Buckingham Palace. So it didn't go very well, should we say. But also Prince Edward went on in later years to have a TV production company called Ardent, where they were doing documentaries, and they were pitching, like any other TV production company might do, pitching ideas to various different networks and channels. But he had to wrap it up after 10 years because they weren't getting enough work. So when we said that the royals don't have a particularly good track record in TV production, that's
also
kind of
that
what
production
we're
company Ardent had a bit of an incident in, I think, around 2001 when Prince William had just started at the University of St Andrews, and there was a deal where the press would leave him alone, and his production company was found up there filming. So that didn't go down brilliantly. So hopefully they'll do better than that.
Harry and Meghan can only go up from here.
Yeah.
Indeed, we wish Harry and Meghan well in this project on which they are now embarking, and who knows where it will end up. Listen, thank you so much for coming in. It's been great talking to you. Great seeing you in person.
I know, I miss you guys.
So kind of, we've spoken digitally. You've been doing lots of Zoom calls. I've been following it on your social media. Great to be in the same room.
It is. It's good. And
even at a distance.
Bring home a souvenir.
That would have to be signed off at the highest possible managerial level.
But I want you guys to sign it for me.
Yeah, really. We can find many more important people in the newsroom out there who will sign it for you.
You don't need our signatures.
It's been a pleasure having you in. Thank you so much for giving us your take.
Thank you, Maggie.
It's great always to hear the American view. Maggie, thank you.
Thank you.
So, obviously, I mean, there's a lot to discuss, wasn't there? And I hope we discussed it in detail. There is, it's been a busy time on that side of the Atlantic in California. However, that's not to say that Kate and William have been absolutely silent, because Kate's project, Hold Still, is moving forward. The finalists are being chosen. We've got, 100 photos now, isn't it, that have been chosen as finalists. And we got a sneak preview of 3 of them.
3 of them, we did, yeah. So this is the community photography project that Kate launched with the National Portrait Gallery in May. And it was designed to kind of capture a portrait of a nation as we were going through coronavirus and lockdown. So they wanted to sort of capture spirit, mood, hopes, fears, feelings, joy, etc. Right. And from the 31,598 submissions they've had,
31,598 submissions.
To be precise, they have picked 100 images, and we got a sneak peek at 3 of those this week.
Now, should we talk about the one where it appears that one of the children is doing something in the garden that perhaps she should have been doing in the bathroom?
Yes. Yes. So this is been titled "We're Really Lucky to Have a Garden," and it was taken on a Friday. I think Dad had finished emailing at the kitchen table. His wife had taken a chair and a drink outside to enjoy the evening sun. And they said they were doing their best, like the rest of the country, with work, childcare, and news of daily death tolls. And their son had taken to relieving himself on the plants, much to their initial amusement, but then slight frustration.
Now, yes, I'm sure the plants might have welcomed a little extra watering.
I mean, we were all just getting by, weren't we? And it's like...
I suppose, what, if anything, this picture tells us about the difficulty of the schools were closed, the children were at home, the offices were closed, the workers were at home, parents were exhausted.
Everything was at home.
Needed a wee.
Yeah, I mean, I think just everyone was just getting by, weren't they, in the best way that they could.
Do we know where it happened, which part of the country it was in?
I don't, I'm afraid.
Right, okay.
No.
Next one then.
The next one, this was very popular on our Instagram feed, actually. This was Prayers for Our Community.
Yes.
And it was taken by the Reverend Tim Hayward. And he said that when it was announced church buildings were to be closed to the public to reduce the transmission of the virus, he wanted to assure the community that although they couldn't gather physically, their photos in church were a symbol that they and their loved ones were still very much in our thoughts and prayers.
In a way, it's kind of like that Queen's message, wasn't it, in one of her national addresses when she said, "Our streets are not empty; they are full of the love we have for one another." This was this church saying, "You can't be here,
but you're
we're
still
with
here."
you.
Yeah, it was. That had a lot of likes on our Instagram feed, as I said, as did actually the garden image.
The @ITV News Royals Instagram feed.
That's the very one.
Why don't we mention it? And the third and final sneak preview. That means we've got 97 others to see at some point. But
I promise I won't read all 100. Otherwise, you might be here for some time.
The third one involved a nurse getting a feed.
Yes, the ward host was called Gimba. And the hospital that the photograph was taken at was at Whipps Cross. And it says that Gimba, who the photos of, migrated from Nigeria to Britain and had been working at the hospital for over a decade, commuting for 2 hours to get to work. On the day the photograph was taken, Gimba had received the terrible news from Nigeria that her mother had fallen ill and had been rushed to hospital. She cried all day and was heartbroken that she couldn't fly home to see her mother and look after her because of the travel restrictions during the pandemic. She declined to take any time off, saying that she had to feed her patients. The photo was taken while Gimba was having lunch in the staff room after having prepared meals for all 18 COVID patients in the ward, and she was eating chicken and rice.
I know what I think is really interesting about these photos. It's not trying to varnish over the difficult times that people had during the lockdown. Here we've got a nurse who's had some very bad news and had a pretty bad day and was having a very stressful job. We've perhaps got a bit more inspiration from the church leader and also then the difficulty that parents are facing. I wonder, actually, in the other 97 that Kate has chosen along with the other judges, it's going to be very interesting about what they're going to include.
And I think the panel were looking for photographs that sort of about the emotions and experiences that they conveyed rather than maybe their photographic ability. And I think those three show, the sort of snapshot we've had, show that. They will sort of show different emotions and experiences.
They say a picture paints 1,000 words, and they kind of do, don't they? And this is exactly what we saw in those. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing the other 97 now.
No, and
and they will eventually go up. I mean, are they doing it virtually at the National Portrait Gallery, or will they actually put them up?
Yeah, so I think from the 14th of September there'll be a virtual exhibition, and then I think at some stage some of the photos will be displayed in cities and towns around the country at a later date.
So, listen, a lot to discuss this week, even though it's been August. There was the possibility that we would be doing this podcast without anything to discuss at all. So at least we've had some...
They never fail
of chat. They never really fail, do they? We know some things that are happening next week. We can't tell you about them at this precise moment in time, but nevertheless, it does mean that there will be events and engagements on which to report.
One which we are very much looking forward to, aren't we? But we can't sadly tell you what it is. But
and actually could be quite significant as well in the scheme of things. So there's a tease.
Sorry.
Can't see any more than that. You can't do your usual prediction of next week.
I mean, I haven't been able to do that since March. So
we might just scrap that entire segment because it hasn't worked particularly well. It didn't stand the test of time.
No, but the rundown at the top's done okay.
Okay, didn't stand the test of COVID. Thank you for tuning back in to the podcast. It's a pleasure to be back with you. I hope and I'm sure you've missed our weekly discussions on all the various royals, including Harry and Meghan. We always get this all the time, don't we? Should we still be talking about Harry and Meghan even though they've left the royal family? And the answer is
yes.
Yes.
They're still members of the royal family, so we will continue to talk about them.
Yes, and we still have good relations with their officers and their teams, even though they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, as they are still called, living in California. We will see you next week, and thank you for tuning back in. We appreciate your loyalty to this podcast, and it's a pleasure to be back with you.